Good evening, I'm Emma Jane Vea and this is Television Tonga News. In the headlines, Mango Tree Centre has a new building to carry out its duties to people with disabilities. The Ministry of Fisheries continue to support the fisheries industry through local fishermen. And male nurses at Viola Hospital shed their old uniforms for new and improved ones. These and more stories, including news from the Pacific, sports, world and the weather information later on in this bulletin. Let's take a look at the news in detail. Her Royal Highness Princess Ofena Ehelangi Whawhanua officially opened a new centre for people with disabilities at the Mango Tree Centre at Homakirikau. It's called Whawhanua Therapy Centre. The building estimated at more than 100,000 ba'anga and is funded by the Japanese government via its grassroots project. We'll join Sinilatu with more on that story.
This is Her Royal Highness Princess Ofena Ehelangi Whawhanua and the Japanese Ambassador to Tonga, His Excellency Dr. Kazuchika Hamura, as they inspected the new Whakawhanua Therapy Hall for the Mango Tree Centre. In a keynote speech from the guest of honour, Princess Ofena, she highlighted the importance of the work that will be carried out in the new building.
Ofa and Amanaki, and how appropriate that is. That you need love to do this work. And that gives out hope to people who really need it. I know that's not the first one, but I'm amazed at the lacking of facilities for this. And I'm forever grateful for you to coming along and providing that service. I know it's not only a help to Maufanga, but it's a help to the government as well. And it shows by the two ministers being here.
In his speech from the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Lisiate Akolo, he says helping people with disabilities is one of the government's core objectives for the development of Tonga.
This project is contributing to one of the primary outcome objectives of the Tonga National Strategic Planning Framework, which is to maintain and develop infrastructure to improve the everyday lives of the people of Tonga and also encourage healthy living.
Also attending the event was the Minister for Internal Affairs, Lord Vaya, amongst other guests. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinilatu.
The body of a 56-year-old man was found near the Reef Cafe at Tuimata Moana Wharf. This is close to the MV Onemato dock area. Police say that a security guard at the MV Onemato boarding cargo reported the death to the Nuku'alofa police station. The security guard said he had seen the deceased in the area earlier in the day. At around 5:30 yesterday afternoon, the security saw the deceased lying down in the same area, but when he tried to wake him up, to no avail, he realized the man had passed away. The man was taken to hospital and investigation into the incident continues. In a separate case, a 30-year-old man died in hospital yesterday after drinking a toxic chemical. Information from police says the man attempted suicide by drinking the toxic chemical at around 11 o'clock yesterday morning in his house. He was then rushed to the hospital yesterday afternoon. He died at 12 midnight last night. Police investigation into the matter continues in order to confirm whether the young man had died from drinking the toxic chemical or not. This will also determine whether the incident is an attempted suicide or a suicide case. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They're endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. The theme is highlighted in this year's International Human Rights Day today. It's taken from Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly December 10, 1948. Whadai reports.
In an international message from the Director General of the United Nations Education, Science and Culture Organization UNESCO, Irina Bogova, as the first universal instrument recognizing the inherent dignity of every member of the human family, the declaration embodied centuries of thinking. It marked also the start of concerted global efforts to realize human rights in all circumstances. She adds that a major step was taken in 1993 with the creation of the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. In 2000, the Millennium Development Goals set an ambitious humanist agenda which was catalyzed significant progress in many countries. However, 2.7 billion people, including men and women, still live on over $2 a day. Access to quality education is still a dream for millions of girls and women. The most disadvantaged parts of societies continue to be victim to exclusion, abuse, and violence. At the same time, the rule of law remains weak in many countries and freedom of opinion and expression facing rising threats. To realize freedom and equality and dignity and rights for all women and men, we must do everything to support countries in meeting the Millennium Development Goals by 2015. For Television Tonga News, I'm Fatai Whaingaa.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Food, Forestry and Fisheries continues to support the fisheries industry, which provides a major source of income to many families. The support is seen through a donation of fishing equipment worth 15,000 ba'anga. Sini Latu has the details.
A special program was held at the Ministry of Fisheries office at Sopo Tau hand over fishing equipment to fishermen from Ewa. In remarks from the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries and Food, Sengsta Saulala, he says the fishing equipment will go towards the Nasili group from Ewa. We give our full support to all fishermen in Tonga. We are happy to donate this fishing equipment to 22 family members from the Nasili group. This is a Christmas gift to the group and we hope it will benefit them all. And the equipment includes a boat engine, fishing tools and life jackets. The head of the aquaculture research, Boasi Nganwafe, says the fishing equipment is estimated at more than 15,000 ba'anga. The equipment donated was based on a request from the group. The group already has a fishing boat but couldn't afford an engine and fishing equipment. The fishing equipment is funded by the Foreign Fisheries Agency after a request was made under the U.S. treaty with the Pacific Islands, Tonga included. A Nasili group member, Kapiteni Havea, thanked the ministry for the generous assistance. With this equipment, we can continue fishing and farming. Most times, we have to ask to borrow other fishing equipment and boats, but not anymore. We are thankful for this assistance, which helps us earn a living for our families and fulfill our duties to the church, government and country. The Ministry of Fisheries is working with different fishing groups in the kingdom, collecting data about the fisheries industry in Tonga, which will help make informed decisions that will help boost the industry and the overall economy.
Male nurses at Viola Hospital have new and improved uniforms which will help them deliver their services more efficiently. In an official program yesterday, the Honourable Health Minister, Lord Tui Awhitu, marked the new uniforms for male nurses. Fatai Whaingaa has more on that story.
These are the male nurses at Viola Hospital as they proudly wore their new uniforms. The male nurse uniform is a white shirt and pants, similar to medical scrubs worn in the operating room, and the white pants replaces the traditional tupenu worn in past years. In the Health Minister's speech, he praised the new uniforms. The new uniforms for the male nurses is appropriate for the era and environment nurses are working in. It's also a historical moment for the Director of Health, Chief Nursing Officer and male nurses at the hospital to witness the first such changes made to male nurses' uniforms. Moreover, the Health Minister encouraged the nurses to further their education and even strive to become a doctor in order to help meet the country's health and medical needs, as there is a doctor at Viola Hospital who started as a nurse. The Chief Nursing Officer, Selapasi, says there are more than 40 male nurses working in Tonga. This is like a dream come true. The male nurses brought a request to change their uniforms in order to improve the delivery of their services to the public. The request was submitted to the Health Director and Minister. Now we can see the changes have been approved and implemented. The Health Ministry began recruiting male nurses in the Kingdom in 1993. For Television Tonga News, I'm Fatai Whaingaa.
Abusing of powers or corruption occurs in all walks of life. This is one issue raised in a televised program to mark World Anti-Corruption Day. The day also stressed the importance of fearing God as the beginning of combating corruption. Whadai tells you more.
In a televised program to mark World Anti-Corruption Day, the Solicitor General spoke of the different ways that corruption can be done, including bribing a civil servant for one's benefit. The Solicitor General says there are ways to fight corruption. Good leadership is a good form of anti-corruption. This is because good leadership practices the rule of law, transparency and credibility. A church leader and director of Tupou Tertiary Institute, TTI, Reverend Dr. Milena Blocker, says fearing God is the beginning of knowledge. At the same time, integrity should be practiced by all. Every decision-making should be done with love, where the decision-makers should ensure that whatever is decided will not affect others. There are many changes happening these days, but we must not give in to such changes easily. Both the Solicitor General and the church leaders are calling on the nation to practice integrity and honesty in all workplaces and for families to ensure corruption is not happening at home.
A manslaughter trial has begun in the Supreme Court this morning. Sideiti Tulumi of Tofoa is allegedly charged for the manslaughter for the death of 24-year-old Sione Kipione from Utungake, Vava'u. The incident occurred July 9th in 2011. According to the prosecutor, Aminiasi Gefu, the defendant, Sideiti Tulumi, is accused of punching the deceased at the back of his head, causing him to fall down and sustain injuries to his spinal cord. The prosecutor explained that this deceased, Kipione, was drinking alcohol with a fellow student from the Tonga Institute of Education. They then went on to Billfish Bar but were stopped at the entrance by the security guard due to their dress code and level of drunkenness. Kipione was angry at not being allowed to enter and crossed to an area opposite the bar and verbally abused and swore at the security guard, who's the defendant, challenging him to fight. The defendant then crossed over and punched the deceased from the back, causing him to fall to the ground. The prosecutor said the deceased fell heavily to the ground in a way which impacted his spinal cord. In a submission from the defendant, they admitted that Sione Kipione had passed away and he had sustained injuries to his spinal cord. However, they objected that the punch from Tulumi was the cause of Kipione's death. The prosecutor will call 6 witnesses during the trial, who include 2 of the security guards who were working the night the incident occurred. Another 2 witnesses are friends of the deceased who will also testify about the admission of the deceased to Viola Hospital and the changes made to the deceased's face, skin color and body during the period he was punched and admitted to hospital. A police officer will also give evidence of the venue, pictures and map of where the incident occurred, while Dr. Siale Akauola will give a report on the cause of death. The trial continues this week. The Roman Catholic Church is taking part in an international campaign to end world hunger. The campaign started with a mass service in each parish in Tonga at 12 midday today. The congregations were called to hold intercessory prayers on the theme. A mass service was held at the Roman Catholic Church at St. Antonio Padua and led by the Archbishop Soane Patita Paini Mafi. Sinilatu was there and filed this report.
The Roman Catholic Church joined other Catholic churches around the world in an intercessory prayer to open the global anti-poverty campaign. The intercessory prayer starts in Tonga, followed by other countries throughout the world. In a mass service led by the Archbishop of the Roman Catholic Church of the Diocese of Tonga and Niue, Soane Patita Paini Mafi, he recalled an event where he saw a person go hungry in Tonga. I will never forget an incident that happened. It was after church, where I went to Totaimana to check my emails. As I was sitting in my office, I heard someone sobbing, sounded like a woman and a child. I walked out to find the exact thing. There was a woman and her child huddling in the corner of the bathroom of my office. They were hungry and were chased away by the woman's husband from their house. These things are happening already in Tonga. I believe there is adequate food on the island, but the purpose of this campaign is to alleviate poverty and hunger. We see on television of hungry people, flies standing on the faces of children. What I want to bring to your attention today is to pray for these people. He also urged the church members to help others in terms of giving food to the hungry. During the Mass service, a church member voiced a message from the president of the Caritas International, Cardinal Roderick Maridianga. Try and stop wasting food. Instead, collect as much food as you can and give it to the less fortunate and those who are hungry. Teach your people to eat just enough food for their good health. Make use of the land allotments, plant crops and sell them in the market, and also plant crops that will withstand the impacts of climate change. In an interview with the program coordinator of Caritas Tonga, Amelia Ma'afu, she says that the campaign will end in 2015. The church members are also collecting food crops and other items to the Caritas Tonga to divide and distribute amongst less fortunate people and those in need of such help around Tonga. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinilato.
That's the local news. Pacific is up next.